Start the audio. There we go. Okay, so this is Finding Freedom, and we're here with Quinn Zeda from Zeta Labs.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Great. It's great to be here.
It's so awesome to have you. So we're here in Chiang Mai at the Cotton Tree Coffee Cafe, and we just had the Nomad Summit after party, pool party the other day over here, and we thought we'd come check out the cafe. So Quinn was an awesome speaker at the Nomad Summit, and she was talking a lot about user experience, and let her go into detail more about what she does, but thought I'd have her here and tell a little bit about her story and some of the mindset behind, and try to dig a little deeper, then follow up on what we had at the summit. So great to have you, Quinn.
Thank you so much.
You want to introduce yourself?
So I'm Quinn, and I pretty much help online businesses increase their revenue, sales, and subscribers by building kick-ass brands and experiences.
Absolutely, rock on. So when did you start when did the Quinn Zeta Labs story start? Like, tell us a little bit about that. You touched on it at the presentation. I'd like to.
Yeah, so I mean, we just recently released our new brand, which is Zeta Labs, but originally I started straight out of college. In college, I thought I was going to be like this big advertising executive, like creative director thing. I even picked out the exact agency that I wanted to work out of in California. And I ended up having a friend that took me on a tour of one of the biggest agencies in Dallas. And he was just really honest with me. He was like, yeah, you're going to be the first one in, last one out. This is the desk you'll be sleeping under. Like, you have any hobbies? Like, forget about it for at least 5 years. You're going to be getting these people coffee until you can get up high enough up the ladder. And I was just like, oh my God, that sounds like prison. So that's when I decided to start my own business. And it started as just freelancing design, like anything that would pay me money. I took on every job, and what happened is I just ended up getting a real variety of experience that just kind of led to this variety of knowing how to do all these different things. And then I got tired of working for corporations. It's kind of like they were really set in their ways. And I felt like my ideas and my strategies and stuff weren't really... I wasn't able to like really bring them to life, and so that's when I started trying to work with entrepreneurs. And so then I took all that knowledge and worked with entrepreneurs for a while until I kind of found where we really could focus on, and then that's when like Zeta Labs was really born. So we thought about, I actually did some work for like an oil and gas company before, and it paid really well. I made very good money there, but it really wasn't very fulfilling, and I didn't really believe in that. So when we were getting the results we were getting with websites, like increasing their revenue and doing all this stuff, we thought, well, if there's so many of these great businesses out there that are doing great things, like there's this guy, Joe, that I met, and it's like he makes like these wooden sunglasses, but like for every sunglass he makes, like they plant a tree.
Right.
And that's really cool. There's tons of small businesses doing this kind of thing, like Tom's Shoes even. He's like much a bigger one, one pair of shoes, one, you give one away. And so if we helped companies like this, then we could make the world a better place. I mean, it's not necessarily it has to be like a nonprofit or saving all the starving kids. It can just be something small that is like a business cares about. So that's like how we kind of came up with this. So at Zeta Labs, it kind of started as like this concept, like this mad scientist, data, art, science kind of thing, because we really focus on the data in our design, so data-driven design. And this idea of kind of saving the world through these small businesses and helping them really achieve more. And that's kind of how the Zeta Labs brand kind of came to life, and we turned ourselves into superheroes and made this like comic book.
Tell a little bit about that.
And
tell the stories
so
in the comic book.
yeah,
Really
so we thought, let's just make ourselves superheroes, and every superhero has a comic book. So then we made an actual comic book. Like, I went on Reddit and found a comic book script writer. His name's Jerry. He's amazing. And so the first issue is like how our team came together, and it introduces the alien, this guy named Elwin, and how we all came together as a group, and like what our purposes. And then the second issue, which we just finished the script, it's going into artwork next week, is the first case study, which will be 16 personalities, and kind of how we're fighting. So we end up in this like digital world. I don't know if you've seen the movie, I think it's Inside Out.
Yeah, I have. Yeah,
okay,
that's right.
So inside they have like the personality.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, I don't know what they're called. The personality houses or like parts.
Islands.
Yeah, the personality islands. So they're the
Right.
personality islands. So we like that's like the website. And so we've kind of used that as inspiration. So like where someone is trying to, like we're trying to represent that something is not usable, we'd have a big building and the door would be like really tiny. So like they can't get in and then have like a long line. So we've kind of like turned it into this like really crazy concept. So it's really fun. It's just something we thought was an experience that you really can't get anywhere else with any other agency. We're actually like creating a story together and turning it into this fantastical, weird sci-fi alien story.
Yeah, that's a key right there, making the process fun, isn't it? Right, and you do that, everybody's sort of on board, and it's like, why not make it fun and awesome and everything? So I guess a question I would have for you is, did it always start as a user experience kind of thing, and how did it morph into that? And if you could tell a little bit about what UX is.
So it didn't always start there. Our ideas really at the beginning were to just kind of create a logo and kind of build a brand, and that's really where the idea started, and it just kind of continued to develop from that. Like we started with like a little rockets and as a logo, and then it turned into like a mad scientist. We're like, oh, it could be like MailChimp and have like a monkey character, but a mad scientist, and then we're like, oh, it should be like me as a mad scientist, and then oh no, maybe not a mad scientist, maybe a superhero. So it's just like the idea develops over time. It's not like we came up with it one day. It was like over about a year process, It was quite a long time. And user experience is the experience someone has on your website. So from the moment they hear about you to their entrance page on your website to the process of becoming a customer and beyond. So it's that process that they go through of interacting with your business. It's not like a lot of people think user experience is like how something looks, but really it's one part of it, which is that's UI or user interface design, and UX is just more about how the whole system works together.
And it comes down to your interactions personally with the clients, right? That's a mentality that you bring to everything.
Yeah,
in there.
exactly. Like, and people don't realize there's a bunch of like tiny little touch points that people have. Like even just the text that you use on a button. Like you can really inject personality and an experience inside all of that. Like you think about, Apple computers. When they first came out, they had like the store experience, which is different than any other store that you went to buy electronics in. There's like no line. There's like a guy that'll check you out with a little tablet right there. The products were easy to use. They were, you could just open it up and be ready to go, pretty much know what you're supposed to do. And then to their marketing message, where everyone else was talking about like 3 gigabyte of hard drive space, they're talking about 1,000 songs in your pocket for the iPod, so it's just it's a lot of different things to make up the experience.
Yeah, that's so cool. What was it exactly that brought your attention to how important UX was. What was it exactly that first was like, this is something we really need to focus on here? Was it sort of accidental, or was it a deliberate, conscious undertaking, or is that, again, something that developed over time? Tell us a little bit about that.
It's something that developed over time. When I started working more with entrepreneurs and small businesses or online businesses, they would initially hire me to just kind of do their design. And I just kind of was like, oh, but we can do this, and let's try this, and kind of sold them on an idea, and then I would do it and get results and just kind of be able to prove that. And then with 16 Personalities, this website, it was a great website. It was a great product. People loved it, but not many people were buying just because the experience on the website was so poor. Mm-hmm. And so when you changed that and you made it fun, like the stats just kind of blew up. And I could, there's so many people that don't really understand the value of design, and there I could literally prove it. You can see when the site goes live, and then the graph, and analytics just goes completely up after that. Right. So, it's about kind of being able to articulate that value.
And the results ultimately speak for themselves, right?
Exactly.
So that's
it wasn't
developed.
Something that just started there. It kind of built up and graduated as I kind of got one result, and then trying something else and getting another result, and through several different years of clients, just kind of continuing to build on those results. So.
Right. That's so cool. So here in Chiang Mai, here in Thailand, we go big on the water bottles. I only have a tiny one, but we do it. We really do. It's no joke. You got to hydrate here. Keys to success.
Yeah. Stay hydrated.
So another question that I think would be valuable to share is, how did you go about getting those first clients? Because you were just out of college, like you said, and it would have been easier and more almost probably expected to go into that corporate job 5 years before you see a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. So how did you go about selling and marketing yourself and achieving those first clients that could have essentially been taking a risk on you? And did you recognize that, or what was your mentality approaching that, and how did you do it?
I mean, I didn't even really know what I was doing. Back then, it was 15 years ago. There aren't the online courses and information that there is today. So many people are out there sharing what they're doing, and you're able to get that. So back then, there wasn't a lot of that. So I actually bought a year's subscription to Elance. I think that's what it was called. Now it's Upwork or whatever. And I just did it for 1 year, and that was just to get a couple clients. And I actually ended up getting a lot of, cool projects just to get my feet wet. And I ended up getting 2 clients from that, one of them which lasted about 9 years, and then the other one about 7, and just continuing to work with them. And it was just finding that client and doing really good work for them from the beginning, and then I got a lot of referrals from that.
So you started at Elance before it was totally super saturated.
Yeah.
It was basically, and then it built. Back then. Oh, it was, okay. Yeah. And then you did well with them, and one thing led to another, and you could build on that.
We started on Elance for a project or 2, and then we kind of moved off of it and just kind of built up those relationships. And one of those first clients, I mean, some clients, they're good clients, they just don't know where to go to find designers or something like that. Right. And so there was some good clients actually on Elance at the time, and probably still is. One of the companies was Stegen, which they were a management consulting company. Mm-hmm. And so they helped mid-market businesses scale. So I learned a lot about that. They had a really course for CEOs and C-level management, and so I helped them build the course, do all the materials for it, all the books, and so that led to a lot of the stuff that I do today.
And in the meantime, you get to learn about it too. So that's an exciting experience in and of itself.
Yeah, exactly. And they had a really great philosophy back then. It was like now it's kind of hip, to like take care of your employees and, treat everyone well and things like that. But back then it wasn't. It was like take everything you can from your employees and suck them for, get everything you can out of them. And they really taught like treat your employees well, treat your vendors well, don't like make everyone work, 12 hours a day, give them time off, give them vacation. Give them benefits, give them health care, like all of this stuff, and really taught them all these principles of like people management, talent management, project management, like all of this different stuff, and kind of brought it in a course. And I remember I was actually doing videography, and we were like interviewing the CEOs that like before they went in the program and like after they went in the program, and just seeing that difference and seeing how this material helped them. And it really kind of established like this whole force of like consciousness and positivity and just being a good person and a good company. And so they were great. They really helped me get like the foundation of where I'm at today.
Yeah,
so
that is so cool. So another thing that I think people would love to hear about is how did it develop from being just you to now having a team of people helping you out? Tell us a little bit about that story and that process, because I know some people don't really ever imagine being anything other than a solopreneur. And tell us a little bit about that process for you.
So yeah, it started out as just me freelancing, kind of doing my thing. And eventually, I've been hiring people since probably my second year. Just because I had so much work. And I was getting so much work that I needed help. So then I would have someone help me with certain parts of the project, or I'm kind of a good generalist and everything, but there are a lot of times when I need a specialist. Like I can get my point across, but I'm not the best illustrator, so I'd go find an illustrator to work with me, or I'd have to build a website for something, and I can develop. I've even done it myself, built my own WordPress stuff, but I'm not the greatest at it, and I'd rather have someone that's a specialist and really good at it. So I just, worked with creatives, kind of figured out what worked, what didn't work. And when I found someone that I really connected with, we just continued to kind of work together.
Right.
But it was just kind of like on an as-needed basis. And then when I started working on some of these bigger projects, I just, like with my developer Henry, I found him, and I'd never used a developer 2 times up until that. Like I'd use them once, like learn, try to figure out what I liked or didn't like, and use that to help me understand what I wanted from the next person. And when I found Henry, it was just like I never worked with anyone else after that, and it's been like 5 years. And same with Peter, my illustrator. Like we just we have an understanding and a creative like communication between each other. But yeah, I just kind of started out as just hiring someone to help me on something on a project, and then realizing, wow, we could do something really great together because we have such synergy between. So it took me a while to find those people, and it takes time.
Don't rush it,
it's
right?
like 15 years, and I didn't really find the people that I really felt that connection with until like 10 years into my business. So and it takes a long time to understand how to manage people and how to art direct them or creative direct them. It takes a lot of work, trial, error, failing, and then finding what works and what helps you succeed. So
That's awesome. So you mentioned take some failure. Some people experience failure and they're like, oh, that's it. We tried, done, out of here. What was it that allowed you to experience some failure, and what kind of mentality and self-talk went on there that allowed you to keep going through that?
Well, it's just, it's really just about trial and error. So when I first started working with Peter, the illustrator, I gave him a project and I had a very specific idea of what I wanted, because all the people that I worked up until then needed really specific instructions. But with Peter, he didn't need specific instructions, but I didn't realize that at the time. So I gave him really specific instructions, and we were really struggling, and I could feel him really backing away. And so I had to think about it, and I was like, okay, you know, what went wrong here? This guy's really talented. Why are we not able to do this? And then I came back to him and I was like, look, I'm really sorry. I realized that I was way too specific, and really what I need to do is give you a general idea and let you decide how to like execute it. And then from there, like, the relationship really blossomed. And as far as like that failure, it's that, you know, it wasn't that we had a client, we had a deadline, we were getting paid for this. So sometimes I actually lost money because of these mistakes, because you find out that, oh, this is not the right person for it. And so you still have to pay them for that work. And then you have to go to,
Get the next one.
you know, get the next one and make it right. And so you literally have to pay twice. So yeah,
All been there.
yeah. So it's just like learning from those mistakes, because when you get it right and you find that like synergy, it just really makes it worth it. And yeah, you can't just not finish the project. So you have to get up and dust yourself off and just keep going. And realize that, you know, it's part of the process. Like, creativity is messy. Like, it's really messy. You go, you know, all over the place, and you fall down, you make mistakes, you get back up, you start to get, you know, your groove, and then you screw up again, and until you really find your way. So it's just about, you know, continuing to try and keep moving forward, you know, one step at a time.
Yeah, one step at a time. It really is, from my understanding, a climb. And, you know, sometimes it's not a straight up climb like you'd like it to be. It's, you know, you go like that, and then finally you get a, you know, and hopefully the trajectory there is over time gradually trending up, but it's never going to be a straight up.
It's always a journey. And yeah, just kind of taking every experience and learning from it, because that's what helps you continue that trajectory, you know. Just continue to have the attitude.
Right. You know, it sounds like it's exactly what you did. You didn't never entertain the idea of not seeing it through, or not finding a way to make it right or make it work whenever things didn't go perfectly. You can't allow yourself to entertain that thought for 1 second. You need to empower yourself, and it's really just a choice. Would you say that's my understanding? You got to choose that you're going to find a way to make it work no matter what happens, and that's part of the commitment that we talked about previously. You got to commit. If you're into it, you know, recognize that things aren't always going to be perfect. It's not always going to be pretty, and you can't allow yourself to ever listen to that voice. You have to deliberately plant an empowering thought and belief in your mind and see it through.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there was this one thing I read on Reddit one time, and it's like a no-zero day. And it's really just kind of about life, but no zero day for your business. Like, you always take one step forward every day, no matter how small. Whether it's like, I'm gonna write, you know, a headline for this blog post, at least you did something that took you forward, you know.
Exactly.
And so even when you're kind of in a midst of a failure or something, it's like, how can I make this a no zero day? No matter how small the task, it's just like, it gives you that sense of accomplishment.
I love that.
And so yeah, I'll send you a link to it's like, it's the no zero day. It's a really good
no zero day below. Good, yeah, no zero day. That would be really awesome. So click the link for no zero day. I know for me personally, I decided not too long ago that I could pick up one habit a month, and not much more than that. Maybe not even always one habit a month, but I thought that'd be something that would be achievable and I could work for. And the first month I did was flossing, right? Okay, so that's one thing that I've been wanting to make consistently a part of my practice, and there was no way, because I had tried before, you know, doing it, and I did it for like 2 days. I was like, fuck this. You know, the next day I got home late, and I was like, no way. However, to your point, I started with one tooth.
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
I heard it on a podcast, and started with one tooth. And then I did one tooth actually a couple of days in a row. Then I did two, and then I did three, and then before I knew it, picked up, you know, an entire.
Yeah, I started doing that as well. Like, I did this thing that was Pomodoros. So, and I was like, okay, every break on the Pomodoro, I would do like one sit-up, you know? And then like you're on the ground and you do one, you're like, I'm down here, might as well do like another one, you know, and then you end up doing like 10, you know?
Baby steps.
Yeah, exactly. But on the days that you're just like, you know, you only have to commit to one. And it's such a tiny, tiny step that
one is 100%
it's just like,
better than none.
how can I not do one sit-up?
Right.
Like, that is ridiculous. How can I not just floss like 1, 2?
Right.
Like, come on.
You know.
But if it's a bad day, you know, you can just floss one and like you did it, you know?
That's still 100% better than none, okay?
Yeah.
You know.
It's to get you started.
Right.
And then once you start, you're like already in that groove. You've already had a small win and you just continue the momentum. So yeah, small goals.
Yeah, ultimately, it's not ever about that one particular act itself. It's about building the habit, right? So if you build the habit, even with one little baby step, don't put yourself down for that. Give yourself a little pat on the back after you do that, even if it is in your mind a small step. Every journey, everybody starts somewhere with something. You don't become an expert like that. It's a process, and it starts with creating the habit. And a lot of times, that's going to start with just one little sit up or one little. Well, for me, I wanted to get back into reading, so I said I would read one page, one page every day. I'll read. I could do that, and I did that. So, boom.
Yeah, rock on. Yeah. Very cool.
So we're going to wrap it up. If you could, share a little bit about some other aspects of your self-talk and some of your mentality. Is something that you have a really empowering, high-energy mentality. And and sounds like that's worked for you so far. So tell us a little bit about some of your beliefs that allow that to demonstrate itself.
One of the self-talk things that I've picked up is, you know, I approve of myself. You know, it's not like there's a lot of ones that say, you know, I love myself, you know, I accept myself, but I really found I approve of myself because we're always looking to get approval from other people, you know, but, you know, and I think that's been really powerful about, you know, just giving yourself your own approval.
Right.
And so, yeah, I don't really know how to explain it in words so much, but just kind of having that mantra and...
Yeah.
You know, proving it yourself and giving yourself permission to, you know, just do whatever and keep doing what you're doing without listening to everyone. I mean, when I decided not to go to the job interviews or turn in a resume and start my own business out of college, everyone called me crazy. You know, they told me I was stupid. You know, they were all calling, like, all my friends, like, why is she not showing up to the interviews, you know?
That's how you know you're on the right track, man.
Right? And so it's like when everyone's against you, it's like, no, I approve of myself. I feel like this is in my heart what I'm supposed to do, and I'm going to trust and believe in that. Because so many times everyone has told me that I'm on the wrong path, when in reality I was on the right path. You know,
I love that. So powerful. Give it to yourself first and go with your gut intuition. You know, you don't need to fight everything in life. If something's telling you to go for this or go for something, then don't fight it. Listen to that. That's where your energy is going to come from, and you know your enthusiasm, and you need it to push through because it's not always pretty and it's not always, you know, clean and perfect. So you're going to need some desire to make it happen. So in closing here and wrapping up, is there advice or what would you have to say for somebody just getting started in their journey, whether they're doing some freelancing or whether they're starting some sort of online business or whatever they aspire to do? What are some startup tips when they haven't necessarily expanded their reality, they're having some self-doubt, they're not sure because they haven't had any solid successes yet, and they do have a desire, but they're not quite sure how to make it happen? What are some tips here that you can give for those people?
Me, it's really simple. Just keep moving forward, you know? I mean, when you're first starting out, like, you don't know what it looks like. You don't really know where you're going. And it's just about trying a bunch of stuff and seeing what fits, what works for you, what resonates with you, and continuing to move forward with that. Just one step every day.
One step every day. Really love that. By the way, guys, Quinn mentioned that she was doing some work for 16 Personalities. Johnny actually has a video about 16 Personalities, so I'll link to that below. You guys can go check that out. That's a really solid talk there. And if you're not aware of it, it's about personality tests, and there's 16 different types of personalities. Give a brief description of that in case anybody's interested in checking out a little bit about what you did.
Yeah, it's basically like their mission was that there are these personality tools that big corporations are able to use to get value out of and work with their employees. that there wasn't really a good resource for the everyday person. So this resource is basically you take a personality test and you get your result, and there's like 9 or 10 pages of information on everything from like career, personal, friendship, romantic, relationships, like all of this different stuff, parenting, and what it means for who you are, and also shows you like the positive aspects of the personality and kind of some of the dark side. And when you realize that, you can really help take that information and use it to help you level up. For example, for mine, it was that, oh gosh, I always screw up the acronyms. ENFP.
Those are Myers-Briggs acronyms.
Campaigner. Like I remember the name, campaigner,
cool.
right?
And
this one is that you're too altruistic. You know, and I realized I was a little bit too altruistic, and my clients' dealings is I was giving like too much of myself. So I learned to recognize that and rectify it in my business. So it's just a really good tool to understand yourself better.
Yeah.
And so, we went in and did the user experience, and now it's just like really cool.
Okay, so guys, thank you so much for tuning in, and looks like the coffee shop here is closing, so we are going to thank you. Here we are, the two blue-eyed people in the sun, and
I got my glasses on for that.
we really thank you. And where can they find out a little bit more about Quinn and Zeta Labs?
Right now, just zetalabs.com. So ZEDA labs.com.
ZetaLabs.com. Link below, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk more soon. Hope you liked this. Leave it in the comments what you thought, and hey, guys, take care, and we'll see you on the next episode.